Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 49. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the vaudevillian, Mike Christensen.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Mike, you're so hot these days.
Oh, no, they're bringing out the big crook. I gotta go, Etsy.
I don't know if both of us can do a vaudevillian accent, because it will blow up this room.
It's definitely blowing up the mics.
Yes. You're welcome, audience. Well, everybody, we're here to talk about comics. Comics, Mike?
According to the description on our iTunes feed, yeah.
Excellent. Then let's do that.
Every week, nope, this isn't a weekly show. Every other week, we talk about the comic. I'm leaving that in.
Sure.
We talk about the comics that we're reading. What's on our pull list? Jay, what should we read when we go to the comic book shop?
Well, Mike, if you're perusing the comic book shop and you happen across a Image comic called Cry Havoc, I would highly recommend picking it up. Now, Cry Havoc is written by Simon Spurrier and drawn by Ryan Kelly. Now, I also want to give a shout out to the colorist. Now, we've done comic reviews in the past, and I've often not given shout outs to them. They're amazing. Not to say that these guys are any better than others, but I want to mention the colorists on this, and I do mean colorists because they play a very integral role in this comic. So the colorists on Cry Havoc are Nick Fiardi, Lee Loughridge, and Matt Wilson. And there's three on here very specifically because Cry Havoc's comic takes place over 3 periods. Now, it's the same artist, but 3 different colorists, so the tones are dramatically different in each different period, and each colorist handles them very differently. So it's really nice as a reader when you're jumping between different time periods in a comic to have that kind of differentiator, because it really helps pull you in and out of the different parts of the story. So you're like, it's very easy to transition, so you don't have a caption at the top of each one being like, in the 1850s, or now back in the future.
Oh, vaudeville voices all over this episode.
They followed us. So terrifying. But the tones, how they work in this one, is very similar to, we reviewed a comic previously, or my poll was called 8,
yeah,
which did something like that.
I knew that you'd referenced one before that did a similar
That did a similar thing, and this is just like that. And it's beautiful, the different varying tones. But let me actually tell you a little bit about Cry Havoc, which, if anyone doesn't know or is thinking, Cry Havoc, where have I heard that? That is from a Shakespeare play, which is Cry Havoc, and I believe it's Release the Dogs of War. Am I correct?
Let's slip the Dogs of War.
Let's slip the Dog of War. I apologize, every Shakespearean buff out there who just died. But I guess I'm not sorry because they're ghosts now. Anyways, so...
Yeah, screw you, ghosts.
Take that, ghosts.
Now your
no
opinions
ghosts
don't
have
matter.
ever been vengeful or mad about anything.
Not in Shakespeare.
Not Shakespeare. And definitely not in comics. So I'm safe. So... For Cry Havoc, a comic I'll eventually tell everyone about, is a story about a girl named Lou. She lives in modern-day London. She's got a wonderful girlfriend who works at a zoo, and she parties. She's a musician. She goes to clubs.
She's like her 20s?
She's, I guess like late 20s, I think. Yeah, probably like late 20s. Like she's been in the job market for a little while, but enough to be like, I don't know if this is working out. Maybe I should try something different.
Okay.
Her girlfriend is like very much like, I don't know if this is really working out for you. And I really love some of these scenes where it's just her and her normal life because they are very much slice of life. And I love how the writer has injected what feels like almost, and I will say this, is like not really eventful scenes, like not like that time we had our first kiss or like marriage or like somebody died and I had to deal with it. They're just like moments of like, this burrito's kind of shitty, or like, oh, you're going to be late for this thing. Like they're just small character moments which work really well in the comic to kind of set up who Lou is. Mm-hmm. And then a little bit into the comic, she gets attacked by a werewolf. So now she's gotten attacked by a werewolf, and we get into the bulk of really what this comic is about. And I don't mean to throw that in there as like a spoiler. It's not, I assure you. It very right away, this comic establishes some crazy stuff, which I won't get into.
Look, guys, if you thought this was going to be a comic just about people eating burritos that they didn't think were very good...
You don't, or haven't listened to any of my polls recently.
Yeah, I was going to say. That may be something I would recommend. But
right. But basically, she's attacked by this werewolf, and we all know what werewolves do when they attack people. In most common media, they might potentially turn you
play
into...
basketball.
They play basketball very well. Teen Wolf guys. So eventually... she starts to take on some werewolf characteristics, and we flash forward in her life. And we see her randomly on a helicopter descending into Afghanistan. So we see her descending in with like a SWAT team of people with guns and weapons.
Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war.
What? And these other people she's traveling with all seem very unique and different themselves as well, just like Lou. So right away we're almost getting into, and none of this is really revealed to the reader in the first issue. So it's almost introduced like potentially these are also very interesting, or people that also have unique abilities or have been affected by maybe these creatures that could be werewolves.
Were-ferrets.
Were-ferrets, very possible. Thank you for bringing that up, Mike.
I know my cryptozoology.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you bring up were-ferrets. A statement I never thought I'd say.
I mean, I think that's objectively funny, but go on if you have a specific reason.
Because actually this comic, which I find very interesting, is they delve pretty deeply into the idea of a werewolf, or actually more in general, like hyena mythology and more dog mythology in general. And even more so if you go into the annotations in the back of the first issue, which I recommend you do.
Oh, cool.
Because there's like, the writer actually does a full breakdown of like almost each page of like things they wanted to show, or also they just start referencing really cool, interesting stories and mythological stories about like hyenas and dogs in the past and how they were known for these certain things. And the writer doesn't give anything away for future issues. There's a couple more issues beyond issue 1 out by now, but they do a really great job of giving you a little bit more fluff behind, like, hey, there's not just one type of dog supernatural creature that's just a werewolf. There's a lot of different kinds, and there's reasons why. And it's really, really cool. So if anybody's ever been interested in getting more into like the mythos of werewolves and creepy supernatural dog creatures, and a really kind of fun, a very unapologetically British comic, which, you know, and I say British not just because the character says hello with a billion L's and O's a few times, like, which some comics do if there's a British character.
That's true.
Very it's very Britishy.
The apostrophe ELLO.
Yeah. It's very much
governor with just like all sorts of letters missing.
We get it. The character's British. This one, it's set in London in certain aspects, and it just feels very natural. Like you're just stepping into a BBC show without it being like BBC for Americans. It just feels natural. So I highly recommend checking this out. It's really interesting. There's a lot of fun elements and a lot of thriller elements, and since it takes place over 3 different time periods, and anything done that way creates this really nice labyrinth of mystery that over the next issues, I'm really excited to see how it all works together. So guys, Cry Havoc, highly recommend it. So Mike, what is your pull?
My pull is The Adventures of Supergirl, which is from DC Comics, obviously. It is written by Sterling Gates and art by Bengal, including the inks and colors.
Oh, great.
And it's a tie-in comic to the CBS TV series, Supergirl, which I had seen none of until last Saturday.
And then you watched a lot of it.
7 episodes. I should clarify how productive I was not on Saturday.
Yes, I think we've already got the idea.
But it's just a really enjoyable show, and I love Melissa Benoist, but like as that character, and this comic actually captures her really well, because it doesn't try to do the likeness thing that a lot of comics try and fail to do, where it's like, we're going to try to make this look like that guy from the movie, and it's like, it doesn't look very good, because there's a lot of tie-in comics out there too. Varying degrees of success, but like her energy like really comes through really well, and like because Bengal is the artist on the first 3 issues. I believe it's a rotating cast of artists, and it's a digital first, so I believe that the first 3 issues, the first 3 releases rather, if it's anything like what they do with Batman 66, I think it's going to be collected into 1 issue. Okay, that's my expectation. But the art by Bengal is like very stylized and cartoonish, in a really cool like comic-y way. It doesn't look like she's lifted out of the pages of like the cartoon or anything like that, but it captures like the energy of that character really well with like they give her an internal monologue, which the show doesn't really have a ton of, which is sort of a necessity to comics.
Difficult to do on a show.
I mean, she does some voiceover in the first episode especially, that's kind of awkward, but like it's a pilot, these things happen. Yeah, but they do a nice job of like capturing her personality and the supporting cast around her, and their sort of, especially the first episode focuses on her not as much civilian life for these first 3 issues. It's more of her sister and sort of like the government people that she's helping and stuff. So we haven't seen like James Olsen in the comic or any of that stuff yet. But it's also just like, hey, we're fighting a monster that like would be a little bit prohibitively expensive for a television show. Right. But is very much still in line with the sort of stories that they tell on the show. So it still very much feels like it's a part of that world.
It's just that episode that the writers were like, we don't have $10 million to make this. We're not Game of Thrones. All right, fine.
Well, fine. If we can't do a CGI person, then like, I guess we'll just make her in the comics.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am enjoying the show a lot, and this comic's delightful. So like, guys, Supergirl, I'm late to the party, but like, if you are too, join me and this
And then also read this
delightfulness
comic.
and read this comic. And like, Sterling Gates is really, really good, and like, he actually wrote Supergirl a while ago, back before the New 52.
Oh, wow.
For a while, so it's cool to see him coming back to this character, but a different version of her, more in line with the television version.
That's exciting. Wow.
And it's just like fun, just fun, family-friendly comics.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll check out Supergirl, check out Cry Havoc, and Mike, that'll take us to our main segment, so please kick things off.
I'm excited. Mr. Miracle, the Paranoid Pill. Jay, what do you know about Mr. Miracle?
Oh man, Mr. Miracle. Well, he is the best escape artist in the universe. He's basically like, man, what's the famous magician?
Houdini?
Houdini! He's like Houdini with sci-fi magic. And he is the husband of Big Barda, or maybe not anymore, or maybe not at this time.
Not at this time.
But he will eventually be the husband to Big Barda.
Yes.
And they are the best couple in all of comics.
Do you know his origins?
I don't. I think he is a new god, or he is the someone on Apocalypse.
So we should explain the New Gods in Apocalypse for anyone who doesn't know.
Set the stage.
Jack Kirby, when he came to DC in the 70s, kind of created a mythology, you know, because he was working on Thor and things back at Marvel, but when he came to, and actually it started in his Jimmy Olsen comic, I believe, he introduced characters like Darkseid, and these characters who became his mythology, the Fourth World, and the New Gods are what they're called. The two big players are Highfather, who's in charge of like the nice people,
the nice gods,
and Darkseid, who's the antithesis,
who's basically the space devil who wears a miniskirt.
Yes,
and knee-high boots.
And he lives on a planet called Apocalypse that's full of fire pits.
Yeah, it's not subtle at all.
No, he is incredibly unsubtle. He once made we'll talk about the comic at some point, but he once made an amusement park where all the kids can see adults being tortured and like screaming, but adults can't see it. And that's the whole deal. Just I just want people to suffer and for some people to see it and not be considered to be sane.
And only children see the horrors of it. He once described
himself as the Tiger Force at the core of all things. Darkseid's great. But Darkseid and Highfather were at war for a very long time. And then they made a truce. And their truce was basically ensured by trading sons. So Highfather gave his son to Darkseid to raise, and Darkseid gave his son to Highfather to raise. Darkseid's son is Orion.
Right.
Who became a good guy.
Yeah. He flies around on, like, what is basically a Segway in space.
Basically.
Yeah.
Highfather's son is Mr. Miracle.
Really?
Who also turned out good. Because that's the whole thing of this mythology, is that, like, you know, as evil is, good still prevails.
I didn't know Mr. Miracle was Highfather's son who went to Darkseid.
Also, Darkseid raised him in a torture chamber.
Oh,
basically.
good.
Raised by someone named Granny Goodness, who just tortures people. That's her whole deal.
Yeah.
Tortures people and makes them believe things. But Mr. Miracle escaped, because that's his whole deal.
Yep.
He escaped to Earth, where he is an escape artist. We begin this issue. This is issue 3. We're talking about issues 3 and 4 today.
Okay.
Of Mr. Miracle. We begin this issue by seeing a boom tube open up. Boom tubes are the teleportation tubes that appear that people use in the New Gods world, basically.
Correct.
This boom tube opens up and these robots walk through called animates. And they make a little desk and they put up a chair and they just make a little room here on Earth. And they bring out an animate and sit it down in the chair, and it takes on the form of this person who doesn't have a form. He's a being of pure energy. But he takes on this persona and actually physically becomes this person who is described. I want to describe the scene. Think of a living, thinking being that exists as pure energy. Think of this living being as a personality without a body, but there are times when this unseen personality must manifest itself in the physical world, and so it uses animates, incredibly complex mobile forms in the image of a man, and it does so now, appearing as live and contour and startling individuality. Study the face, look deep into the eyes, the mind force peers back, and it is evil.
Wow. That is quite a lead up to a new character.
This guy, who we will eventually learn the name of Dr. Bedlam, I believe. He works for Apocalypse. He works for Darkseid.
Well, it's good to know that he came into being with already a doctorate. So that's good to know.
He already existed.
Oh, okay.
And he makes a phone call because he's here on Earth. He has a telephone. He knows Scott Free's phone number.
Oh, sure.
Scott Free, by the way, is the name of Mr. Miracle.
Which is amazing.
It's his real name.
Or arguably amazing.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't care what anyone says. That's great.
Okay. We cut to Mr. Miracle, who's in a ridiculous, elaborate trap, chained to like almost like a stocks where your head and hands are through the things, but it's vertical and is like all locked up and he can't move his arms and legs, and there's a cinder block that's about to be dropped on him, like a huge just block of granite.
Basically like the coyote from Coyote and Roadrunner created a death trap.
It's super elaborate, like this torture device. And his manager, Oberon, is there, who, despite his name and his appearance, is just a regular dude from Earth.
Wow.
He's just a dude. He's a circus folk guy.
Sure.
He's just like a dwarf orphan who grew up in the carnival.
Yeah, I grew up with Oberon down on 61st Street.
I mean, kind of that, yeah. Anyway, in one panel, Scott is all locked up and chained in his full costume, and the next he's just jumping out of the machine as because that's the whole deal with the comic, is that you don't really need to show him picking the locks. It's Jack Kirby. It all moves really rapid fast, and he's just diving free as the block crushes the device. He's like, come on, Oberon, get the phone. We gotta answer the phone. Like, this is what we do. Like,
now, was he in a show doing this, or was he
practicing?
Okay. I was gonna say he was like, this is just what he does when he's at home. He's just like, oh man, the phone's ringing.
I think they're in like a hotel or an apartment or something. But yeah, they're just sort of chilling.
Would you like me to take these bags up to your? Oh my God, is this a giant cinder block?
Anyway, Dr. Bedlam calls. And Scott takes the call and says, yes, fine, I'll meet you. Yes, and I accept your challenge, basically. And he's going to go and meet Dr. Bedlam.
So he just accepts challenges from random people that call him from time to time?
Basically, yeah. He says that ordinarily, Dr. Bedlam would be an unbeatable foe, but Motherbox operates on Dr. Bedlam's own mental kingdom. And he shows he's got this little device on his shoulder.
Right, and Motherboxes, we should explain.
Well, Motherbox, I always thought, was a device people use to open boom tubes.
Well, sort of.
Yes, it's also a computer that in this case protects him from psychic attacks.
It's kind of like a MacGuffin. You know what it is? I'll give the perfect example of what the Motherbox is.
Sonic screwdriver.
Nice. Exactly. We both got to there
at
almost
the exact
same
moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, he says, he says, this is how I'm protected from the mental attacks of Dr. Bedlam. And Oberon says, okay, so he's some sort of super hypnotist. He attacks the mind. What about ordinary citizens like myself? We don't have gadgets. Who knows what he's up to? And Scott Free basically crosses his legs and sits down with Oberon and has him touch the mother box and says, now think of all your childhood terrors, the little boy awake in the vast dark night, listening, looking, trembling. And they begin to see these visions of horrible nightmares.
Wow.
And he says, that's Dr. Bedlam looking for us. This is him actually trying to probe our minds.
What?
And there's just sharing the mother box, just sort of, and we get this weird trippy vision of like Oberon's covered in ice and Scott Free's covered in fire, and then there's all these claws and teeth and things.
Jeez.
And then he's like, it's okay, Oberon, it's over, don't faint. And he's very nearly does. And he says,
obviously.
Yeah. And he says,
he didn't grow up on a torture planet.
Yeah, exactly. And so then Scott gets on his floating little discs. He has these 2 floating discs.
Yeah, one for each foot.
Yep. And he flies to this office building.
What is he doing at this office building, Mike?
He's meeting Dr. Bedlam. So he's like out the top floor. He doesn't have like a practice here.
Sure. But he does have a desk, so he rented it
for
a small time.
He has a desk and a phone, so I guess they're paying somebody.
Yeah, they're paying some phone bill.
Mr. Miracle flies in, and Bedlam says, like, yes, this is the trap. I've set a trap for you, and here's the deal, is like, you have to get out on the bottom floor.
What's interesting is if you are Mr. Miracle, that's almost like relief, isn't it? Like if it's just like, haha, I've got you in a trap. He's like, oh, thank God. If you had tried to like shoot me or something, I would have been screwed. But a trap, whew, that is what I do.
But he says, like, I've no doubt, Bedlam, this is a diabolically clever trap. And Bedlam pulls out a pill. And Mr. Miracle says, the code of combat. You cannot tranquilize an enemy. He has to be fully aware to take full advantage of what weapons he possesses. And he says, oh, I'm not gonna do this to you. This is just what activates the trap. We're on the 50th floor. This building, the Chandler Towers, this is the trap. To defeat me, you just have to descend to the lobby level and exit the streets.
So he just has to go from the top floor all the way to the bottom and walk out.
Then he drops the pill into the ventilation shaft, and everyone goes insane.
Wait, all the people in the building?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
This is the reverse raid?
Yes.
With Mr. Miracle?
Yes.
This is amazing.
Everyone, I'm so happy you made a raid reference right at the top of the show, or before we started rolling.
Or if no one knows about the raid, watch it. And also watch Dread.
Or Die Hard. Yeah, this is Dread.
This is Dread.
Yeah, basically. Or no, he's also working from the bottom up in Dread.
Yeah, it's the reverse. It's reverse of any of those movies.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
Basically, this vapor is going to fill every room, and they're just going to be seated with the madness of paranoia. Will turn every human being between you and freedom below into a hostile, dangerous, raving maniac.
Now listen, DC Cinematic Universe. We're not always for dark movies.
I would even accept any of the TV shows.
Honestly, make this movie.
Or episode of a TV show. Either one.
Just like even Supergirl. You know what? Just be like, hey, what's happening over here? And we have one episode that has nothing to do with Supergirl, and it's just Mr. Miracle trying to get out of a building filled with crazy people.
Look, Red Tornado was on that show. You've opened the door to do weird stuff.
That's very fair. If Red Tornado's on that show, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
Somebody call someone.
Anyway, Scott Free kicks Dr. Bedlam, but he turns into an animate, just like turns into this robot and drops to the ground. It's like, all right, well, that didn't help me at all. And everyone inside is just losing their shit. So you have someone yelling, it's the UFOs! They've landed! I don't have to work here! I'm needed in the president's cabinet! You ruined my typing! You lie!
To be fair to these paranoid people, there is a man from another planet a few floors above them that grew up on a torture planet. So
there's a cop just opening fire in the hallway.
Just like shoot, not at a person, just like anything?
Take cover! These corridors are crawling with robbers!
Wow.
It's basically becoming the scenes at the end of Kingsman.
Oh my god.
Like, essentially. But you know what they need right now? A unified foe in a big old colorful costume.
That's actually perfect. I mean, if there's one person you're going to attack, it's that dude.
So he, Scott Free hears all this chaos, and people are busting down the door because they're just busting down all the doors.
Yeah, of course.
And he says, all right, well, I can leave out the window. Like, I have my flying discs, my aereo discs. Like, he can't stop me from doing that. And he gets to the window, and there's an electric shock that very much says, yes, I can stop you from doing that.
He's like, all right, fine.
I sealed the building. There's only one way down. And then the door bursts down, and these 4 dudes come in with, like, pieces of furniture, but also, like, just pipes of metal, like Kirby metal, like, where it's just weirdly, like, I don't know what that was.
Like,
I guess
where they got that from?
I guess it's plumbing, but, like...
What's somebody doing with all these beams lying around here on this floor?
I knew there was a foreign spy in here, is one of the lines of dialogue.
Oh, wow.
It's 1971. It's a legitimate concern.
Sure.
I don't know how...
A lot of spies in the top of buildings.
How many spies wear red and yellow and then the green Dracula cape?
I'll tell you this, Mike, not a very good spy.
Yeah, anyway, he flies over their heads, and they try to block the hallway with a desk. Other people in the hallway, like, they grab a desk and try to block the hallway. He has to take his discs and put, like, one under his hands and one under his feet and just slide across the ceiling, basically, to get past them.
That's pretty cool.
Gets to the elevator. People are throwing things at him, and he just gets into the elevator. He says, all right, I've passed 5 floors now, on the way down. If my luck holds, I'll make it down to the bottom with no injury to anyone. And this person is in the elevator with him who, like, he didn't notice in the chaos, draws a gun on him, just puts it at his head.
Oh, no.
And says, you thought you'd get away with this? Easy, mister. You're just too smart for me. I couldn't hope to slip by you. He hits the emergency stop, and the elevator rocks and, shudders.
Shakes him enough that he could get out of the way of the shot.
Yeah, as the shots he starts opening fire.
Oh, no.
On Mr. Miracle, who has to open the door and run out. And he gets immediately grabbed by a whole crowd full of people. And they're, like, yelling about how he's clearly a demon. Because look at his face. Only a demon would look and dress like that. No, I'm wearing a costume. And they're shouting things like, dispense with the demon. Hold him. Don't let him get away. Look out for his devil's power.
Oh, wow.
They grab a trunk from the mailroom and they shove him inside. And they slam it shut and they sit on it. He's like, all right, maybe I'll wait until they calm down. But they don't calm down because they're crazy right now.
Susan, you said we'd never need this devil box. And look what we got now.
They grab chains and rope and they start wrapping it around. And they say, well, we can't let him suffocate in there until we decide what
chains? Where in your regular office do you have chains? Like, Mike, we both work in offices. Chains just around? Like, hey.
I wouldn't be surprised.
When you're in the back room, if you can grab me a pencil and also, a long chain.
I will also, actually, in the next issue, we'll get to why there might be some strange things here. Also, Dr. Bedlam planned this.
I guess that's true.
I mean, like,
he probably went around to different places. Like, I'm going to leave this knife here and a couple guns there and some chains here.
I mean, he probably
devil box.
Planned it for when there was a cop here. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
true.
Anyway, they grabbed.
I guess if he set electrified glass around the entire building, he could have probably planted a few things.
He did some prep work. Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I apologize, comic.
Yeah. Sorry, Jack Kirby. They chain and, put ropes around this box, and they shove air holes in with a spear, sword, long pointy piece of metal that's in offices all the time.
Right.
Again, I have no trouble believing that. It's just like, oh, let me put one here on the 15th floor. Like, why not?
Yeah, of course.
Fortunately, Mr. Miracle can avoid the spear that's coming into the box because of Mother Box. Because he's like kind of monitoring their mental frequency.
So he can almost Daredevil style see where the things are coming into the box?
Yeah, he can kind of anticipate their next move. But what he can't do anything about is the fact that they didn't take him. They go to one of those open stairways, which basically looks like the main column in Dread, like how it's just a straight pit.
Yeah.
And they just hurl the trunk down.
Oh my god.
Like straight up, he is in a trunk tumbling 45 floors. That's the end of the issue. That's
awesome.
issue 3.
That's a great cliffhanger.
Issue 4 opens with Oberon sort of sitting there going, I don't know what's going to happen to Scott. And making her first appearance, Big Barda shows up.
What?
Yeah.
This is her first appearance ever?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she shows up behind him. Like, she's in the splash page as Oberon's just sort of sitting there like, oh, I don't know what to do. And, like, he has no idea she's standing there looking stoic and awesome. She just, like, slams her scepter down, is like, wake up, you Zero! And shouts, like, where is Scott Free? I'm a friend. And he's like, oh, well, where are you from? And she's like, the world of Apocalypse is not a playground. Where's Scott?
Wow.
Jack Kirby's good at some dialogue.
Some dialogue.
Certain specific type of dialogue.
Hi, we've never met before, but I've really got to find Scott.
And he says, like, you're one of your kind, like, he left with one of your kind, someone even worse than you. And she says, I'm not so bad. A little rough, maybe. But once you get to know me, I can be a real pussycat. Which I 100% cannot imagine Big Barda saying.
Yeah, never imagine her saying that line of dialogue.
And she basically says that she doesn't use a boom tube, she uses the Mega Rod, which is her scepter thing.
Which, you know, why not call it a Mega Rod?
Yeah, sure, certainly. She's one of Darkseid's female task force. And
I think she trained Darkseid's, like, most dangerous warriors, which I think are the Harpies? Furies, close.
Yeah, and basically she finds out that he's meeting with Dr. Bedlam, and she's like, I gotta go save him. Mega Rod will compute where they are. Mega Rod will take me there. That's a line of dialogue.
Yep.
And zips over. Of course, Scott Free is, plummeting down this building, basically, I guess is the term.
Yeah, the open atrium of a building, sure.
It's atrium, exactly. Meanwhile, people are throwing things and shooting at the box as it goes down.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, he's in it, the box is tumbling through the air, but not only does he have to figure out a way out of said box before it crashes and kills him, he is then also Daredevil-style dodging bullets and debris coming into and around the box.
Big Barda teleports into the lobby, and of course people think it's witchcraft, which is not so far from the truth.
Sure.
And she sees this box, and she's like, what's that falling from above? Knowing Scott Free and his talent for trapping himself in strange places, I have a feeling that I'd better break the fall of this trunk, which... Fair. So she catches it, and she tears it open, and it's empty.
Ooh.
And we look up, and on one of the balconies, like on one of the railings, Scott is standing there. Still his hands are tied, like his arms are tied behind his back, and he's got rope around his body. But he's standing like just on the, like perched on the railing.
Like just barely?
Like, no, he's like standing there like cocky almost, like, but very much like ropes dangling from him, like, Dr. Bedlam turned this building into a death trap. Everyone's been affected by his paranoid pill. And she shouts... I swear to God, line of dialogue. Scott, you were in that trunk, but you were still uncanny in the escape parts. You got out of the trunk. I mean, I get that we just read the last issue, but like, there's a more succinct way to say that. Anyway, a bunch of citizens...
To be fair, so far, as Big Barda has presented herself in this first issue, she very much states either just flat fact.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
I am Big Barda. If you get to know me, I am like this. You, escape man, or have escaped from box.
You were in a trunk that you are no longer in.
Wow.
Well, true. Anyway, some citizens grab Mr. Miracle and drag him on and try to stab a stake through his heart because they think he's a vampire.
Makes sense.
Because that seems fair. And as they bring down the stake and bring down this pipe to like use as a hammer, when they go to strike it, he's no longer in the ropes. And he says like, well, I must admit I was aiming for record time. Why, any escape artist could make short work of those ropes, but it takes a master to play it that close and cool.
Which is basically him bragging a little bit.
Yes, they say you may taunt us, vampire, but it won't be for long. And he says, sometimes the best performances are wasted on the wrong audience.
Probably people that think you're a vampire.
He runs into some people who are trying to shoot him with a fire hose, and he dodges out of the way. And
now, what do they think he is? A walking fire?
They haven't identified it, but he dodges out of the way. The fire hose blasts the people behind him. We see him like sliding down the banister of some stairs past people, which is pretty great.
Oh yeah.
Then he runs into some people dressed like executioners.
Oh no.
And they shout, "Forsooth, yonder is our quarry."
What?
And they, to the dungeon with you, traitor. The king's justice awaits you. And this big beefy dude slams him in the chest with his fists, and they drag him onto a movie set.
What?
Yeah, there's a movie set here because this is I didn't say. This is a television studio.
Okay. That objectively makes this way better. That makes this infinitely better. That not only do we have regular people in an office running around, but people in costumes from sets attacking.
We haven't seen
that
anyone
person.
in costumes or sets. But
Oh, this is the first time?
This is the first time. But he's
Because
like,
for a second there, I thought everyone went so crazy that they went Mad Max dystopian for a second, and we're like, this is the new world order. You're a king now.
that would be amazing.
Let's kill that cape guy.
They drag him to an Iron Maiden, and the director's shouting like, he's perfect for the part. He'll die with superb realism.
And the guy at craft services, the guy with props was like, man, I'm really glad we got that actual Iron Maiden for this movie.
He says, don't let him get away. He'll ruin this picture. He's got to go through with the scene because they're shooting a TV special. And these people dressed like guards shout, fear not, sire. His death will get the Emmy Award.
Some bad writing earlier, but I would say this is about A++.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's amazing.
When Jack Kirby's on, he's on.
So great.
They force Scott into an Iron Maiden and then slam it shut.
Oh.
Klong. He's probably dead. Meanwhile, in the lobby, Big Barda, like, there's people, like, running, like, no, the witch, she'll put a spell on us. So she just grabs one of the pillars in the lobby.
Oh, good.
Just grabs it.
Just rips it right off.
And throws it at them. And says,
no.
there, hold on to that. While Barda attends to someone more rational. And, like, look.
Yeah.
Their whole bodies aren't necessarily going under this thing, but I see some feet that are about to be never used again.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you think when Big Barda threw that column, she was like, Earth. Is that the one with the rock people or the soft people? Well, it'll sort itself out.
Those people will die.
Yep, those people are dead.
Or at the very least, never walk again.
Or moving again.
Or ever eating solid foods again.
Those people are dead, Mike.
She flies to the top floor with her mega rod.
Cool.
Because it has rockets on either end.
Of course.
Which is just great.
It's the sonic screwdriver of the
But
DC
she
universe.
holds it like down, so it's almost like where you'd hold a pogo stick. So she just looks like she's rocketing straight into the sky.
Dope.
It's dope. She gets to the right floor because the rod tracks scot-free, I guess. She fights people dressed like executioners. That's objectively badass.
Of course.
And she goes to the Iron Maiden, and it's empty. And Scott-free just turns around
You're
the corner.
telling me in the 3rd or 4th issue of Mr. Miracle, he's not murdered by an Iron Maiden?
Yeah. But he says, no, I'm not in there, Barda, but it did give me a bad moment.
A bad moment?
Wow. It's scary.
Yeah, of course. Moment.
She says, I don't know how you do it, but you're still alive. And that spooky costume, I wouldn't recognize you if I didn't hear you speak, because this is not what he wore. He says, the problem's no different for me. Look at you. I apologize, Barda. That uniform represents a power that shouldn't be so lightly spoken of. So you're an officer now. And she says, yes, this is a far cry from our days as pupils of Granny Goodness.
Oh, so they trained together.
Not just that, she helped him break out.
Oh.
And she could have come with him.
But she stayed
didn't.
behind.
She stayed. She stayed on Apocalypse.
Gotta build that romantic tension, Mike. They can't just get away right away.
Fun fact, Jack Kirby based their dynamic on his own dynamic between his wife and he.
What? They
Between-
both grew up on hell planets?
Yeah, Roz Kirby and Jack Kirby grew up on Hell.
Oh, good.
Clearly what I meant.
Well, it's great to hear that they got out of there.
Glad you had the right takeaway.
I got the correct takeaway from that one, Mike.
Anyway, they know that there's friends all around them. They can sense them, but they're not sure what's coming next. And Mr. Miracle feels like this is going to be the closer. And he sees the energy form of Dr. Bedlam. He looks like Kirby dots in a face.
Cool.
Because, Kirby dots. If
that's
you don't know what
his
Kirby
thing.
dots are, they're our logo.
Yeah, true.
Kirby Crackle. And Dr. Bedlam shouts, "Foul! You've broken the pact! She is helping you escape!" And she calls him a liar, and he says, "No, you're wearing the uniform of Apocalypse. You're totally ruthless. Why would I think you would honor Scott's word? Why would I assume that about you?"
Yeah.
But she hasn't helped him so far.
True.
Not for lack of trying, but she has not
She
helped him.
punched some executioners, and he was already out of that box.
Exactly. But he says, neither of you shall leave here alive. Every tormented mind in this building can be spurred into a panic, driven against you. And he says, oh, so that's your climax, a human stampede. And they basically hear it coming, and they hear this chaos. They see these monsters charging towards them, basically, inspiring the fear of the people. We cut back to Oberyn, who's just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. That barbaric female left in a lather. And when I mentioned Dr. Bedlam, he's really in trouble. Maybe I'll call the police. And in teleporting behind him are Mr. Miracle and Barda.
Oh.
And he says, no, the police are pretty busy at the scene right now, Oberyn. And they're fine.
So, they just cut away from the stampede?
We'll come back to that in a minute.
Okay.
But basically, they do their introductions. It's like, yeah, no, it's all good. And this is, Barda, thank you so much for your help. I could never think of you without deep and genuine fondness. And she says, I helped you in your first great escape. Remember that back in the day?
And Oberon's like, I don't know what's going on here.
Essentially, she mentions she risked severe punishment to help him bolt Granny's institution. And Oberon says, if you ask me, it would have done the girl a world of improvement if she'd left with you, Scott. Because she became the one she was because she stayed. And she gets very cross with him and almost hits him and kills him probably.
Oh, that's good.
But he's like, no, settle down. And Scott makes a meal for everyone. Just makes a turkey dinner.
Oh.
Like he changes out into regular person clothes and he's cooking. And Oberon...
You know what? Let's have some turkey.
And Oberon finally is like, look, tell me how you did all those escapes you told me you did.
Yeah.
Like, it's really annoying. And like that you don't tell me that. And Scott's like, well, I told you about the traps. And as for the escapes, it just isn't cricket for Mr. Miracle to reveal his amazing secrets. I don't know what cricket means in this context, but whatever.
Jack Kirby does, and that's all that matters.
I guess so. However, we could do some supposing. Suppose you take the trunk in which Mr. Miracle was bound, falling to certain death 50 floors below. It was indeed a time to panic. But was Mr. Miracle that type? Suppose he wasn't. Suppose he coolly inched his bound hands to his belt and opened one of his circular buttons. Now imagine a tiny, powerful, compact utility instrument called a multi-cube. Suppose one of its components was a miniature laser beam. Why, even in mid-fall, Mr. Miracle could have lanced his way out of a fine split in that trunk. Suppose the multi-cube could also eject a long steel cable to embed itself where it could break our hero's fall and reel him in so fast he would hardly be noticed.
Suppose.
Yeah, hypothetically.
This is like the Ocean's 11 of superheroes.
It really is. Like, he really is. That's why it's crazy that they're... Like, he would be such a great movie character.
Like, objectively, Space Houdini, plus The Raid, plus Mad Max level crazy people...
With Ocean's 11 flair.
With Ocean's 11 flair is my favorite DC movie.
Yep, and then
Somebody make it, please.
About the sarcophagus, again, that Iron Maiden. Once again, the multi-cube, it allowed him to dissolve the back of the Iron Maiden and step out behind it and hide, and then when Barda showed up, he just walked around the corner, totally fine. Now, as for that whole big stampede of people, he used the multi-cube to put everyone to sleep.
You just see him killing swaths of people with a cube.
He says, Mr. Miracle and Barda merely had to walk through those haunts and pass the obstacles with the multi-cube in operation, and we see it like emitting a little signal. It was doing its work, sending out a strong electrosonic signal, I apologize, science. Which blanketed the brain of every paranoid in the building. They couldn't see or hear the monsters in a state of coma. Now my question...
Yes.
If you have that...
Why?
Why run? Why not just pull it out...
Immediately?
Minute one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're Mr. Miracle, and clearly you get your kicks by... Okay, never mind. I answered my own question.
Yeah.
Anyway, Big Barda walks in a bikini, and suddenly that's all they're talking about. Because, like, she's just dressing down. Like... She's wearing her costume. This is another costume of hers where it's just like the red bikini.
Yeah, it's true.
With pouches.
Yeah.
For no reason on her hips. They're talking about her before she walks in. She's like, oh, Barda's all right. She's just a child, a powerful, deadly, child-playing soldier.
Wow.
And she walks in and says, what's for chow, boys? Smells good. I can eat. I'm hungry as a bear. And Scott says, I take it all back, Oberon. That's a big, beautiful woman playing soldier. And Oberon says, whoever made that girl wear a uniform should be horsewhipped.
Wow.
It ends with a little tag. They always have a little blurb about the next issue. This one says, Big Barda, bold, barbaric, and still quite a problem as her story unfolds. And why not? Doesn't she come from Apocalypse, where Holocaust is a household word? Isn't she the bait for the next overwhelming, mind-shattering trap waiting for Mr. Miracle? You bet she is! Signed, Professor Wunderbar and his murder machine.
Wow, I want to know all about Professor Wunderbar and his murder machine.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that some other time.
He fights a lot of doctors, Mike.
Hey guys, that's the main segment.
That's the main segment! And now that's going to take us to our game, Super-Mundane. Alright, this is Super-Mundane. This is the game where we name a mundane task or activity, and Mike and I must figure out which hero of Marvel or DC is either the best and also the worst at this mundane task or activity.
It's not the same person. There's one person who's the best, there's one person who's the worst.
That's correct. Now,
I guess they could be the same. That'd be strange.
That would be weird. We'll find out who would be the best and who would be the worst at playing Capture the Flag.
I bet you the X-Men have played Capture the Flag.
They probably
keep
have.
Playing team sports.
You think one day they're in the danger room being like, God, do we have to fight Sentinels again? Can we do something fun, Wolverine?
I mean,
Oh, my wives have died.
Quicksilver, the Flash, like speedsters.
Speedsters would be good. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. It is a flag that you must capture, as is the name, capture the flag. Now, what if you hid said flag? So could someone like a strategist like Batman have an advantage there?
Yeah, but if you're super fast, you can just look everywhere all the time really fast.
But if you're the world's smartest
It's gonna go to a speedster, man.
Is it gonna go to a speedster, Mike?
Yeah.
Deadpool would be
I mean,
not bad.
Here's Martian Manhunter would be pretty good.
Actually, Martian Manhunter would be really good. Because here's the thing. If it was like, if the flag was hidden, right? So
Yeah.
because look, if we do it like speedsters, then it's just like the easiest. There it is, I got it, right?
Yeah.
Even Superman could competitively do that one pretty easily.
Yeah.
But if there's some strategy like hiding it, you're not really sure where it is, which is true in Capture the Flag. You don't necessarily always know where the flag is.
Right.
Martian Manhunter has a huge edge. One, he can read everyone's mind, so he knows where they know where the flag is.
That's true.
He can camouflage himself or just be invisible. So
Yes.
he just, and intangible.
He
so
can look like another team member
he
of
could
your
just
team.
look like one of them, or he could look like a rock, and you run by, and he just turns into himself and just walks over there. He could look like a squirrel, just scampering around in the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, look, a flag. Now I'm Martian Manhunter, and I'm flying away.
And he can like phase through walls and wait, he can do that?
Yeah, he can.
The Vision can do that. So can he,
like,
yeah.
He has like all the powers. Actually, a Vision versus Martian Manhunter matchup
It's pretty
of
fair.
Capture the Flag would actually be pretty great.
Does Martian Manhunter have laser vision?
Martian Manhunter doesn't have laser vision.
He has some kind of vision.
Vision can't read minds, but Vision is a robot, so Martian Manhunter couldn't read his mind. Ooh, I want to see the Capture the Flag game of the Vision versus the Martian Manhunter.
Again, not the prompt, not the game.
But shouldn't it be? This is great. I want to see this happen.
This is not the setup. This is not how the game works. Also, not how Capture the Flag works. It's not a one-on-one. Simply not the case. I assume at this point
I
we've
love
just.
the idea of creating like a Coliseum deathmatch type arena, but just for Capture the
So
Flag.
we have though, because we've got Marvel versus DC.
Yeah, we kind of
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
We have Martian Manhunter and the Vision against each other. We've got the Flash and Quicksilver.
Yeah, we have.
So like,
I mean, each of them have their own analog.
this is just what we're doing. Also, by the way, Martian Manhunter is telekinetic,
Sure.
and has, and I quote, Martian vision. Which is true because he has eyes and is from Mars,
That's Martian Vision.
allowing him to see across the electromagnetic spectrum, including X-ray vision.
Including
so
flags
he has
as
X-ray
well.
vision.
Wow. I mean, he wins.
He can also project energy beams, known as Martian beams.
Wait,
On
wait.
Mars, they just call them beams. The exact effect of which...
I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning and my beams went everywhere.
The exact effect of the beams have varied in different decades, from incendiary effects to concussive blast to disintegration. Why would it be incendiary? He's allergic to fire. That's the dumbest
crazy.
thing ever.
He just shoots fire, the thing that he hates, out of his face.
John also possesses 9 senses compared to humans, giving him clearer and more numerable perceptions. So he's the best.
I mean, he wins. Okay,
Right?
we have to revise our
That
statement.
is just the senses category of his Wikipedia page.
Quite literally, the easiest play here is Martian Manhunter would wait for Quicksilver to run up. He would be invisible. Quicksilver would run at full speed into essentially a rock wall, break every bone in his body. Martian Manhunter would
Well, that's
then...
a vision thing. Like
No.
making himself... I guess
No,
Martian
Martian
Manhunter
Manhunter too.
tough as hell, yeah.
And Martian Manhunter would then just walk over to the other side, pick up said flag, and then just come back. I think Martian Manhunter has the win on this over Quicksilver.
So who's the worst, though? Because that's still...
Yeah, we've still got the best, which arguably I still want to see Vision versus Martian Manhunter, which is not what the question is.
No.
But who is the worst now? Now, Mike looks really confident that he's figured out who could be the worst at capturing said flags.
I think I have it.
Who is it?
US-1.
What is a US-1?
U.S. Archer. Ulysses Solomon Archer.
Is that a... what? An Arrow villain?
No, this is a Marvel hero.
What does he do?
This was a 12-issue miniseries developed for Marvel by Tyco to help promote their US-1 truck racing sets.
What?
The only thing Ulysses Stone Archer, U.S. Archer, ever wanted to do was drive the big rigs, but his parents wanted him to go to college. After his parents' death, his brother Jefferson made sure he was able to go, but even after earning multiple degrees, U.S. still just wanted to drive trucks. On the haul with his brother, they were run off a cliff by the mysterious highwayman, and U.S.'s brother disappeared. Gifted with radical new technology,
No.
U.S. used it and a super truck to try to track down the highwayman and figure out what happened to his brother.
What?
Powers and abilities. U.S. has a large metal implant in his skull, which allows him to pick up Citizens Band CB transmissions. His CB skull.
What?
He can also use it to control his
He
own
has
truck
radio powers?
He can also use it to control his own truck/ship, US-1.
Oh my god.
Intercept other forms of communication, manipulate other electronic equipment, and resist certain forms of mind control. This plate protects him from injury and is painful when struck by others. In addition, he is one of the best truckers to ever burn rubber down the highway, and he's an excellent starship pilot, too.
He's an excellent starship pilot.
US-1
Was that one of his many doctorates and degrees he picked up at college?
US-1 was a fast and powerful tractor-trailer rig. It had numerous modifications enabling the cab, which unhitched from the trailer, to keep pace with any other road vehicle, including souped-up motorcycles. Of course, it had the usual amenities: bucket seats, stereo, tape deck, CB set. It also had a number of special features, including a radar tracking device, the ability to generate an oil slick, tire shredding shrapnel bombs, which quickly biodegrade so it wouldn't hurt the wrong person,
Oh, good.
smoke screen, homing devices, weather satellite hookup, and of course the ejection seat. The special weapons console could roll back into the dashboard so it would appear like a normal cab. It also has a lightweight robot drive system, enabling it to drive under remote control. Prior to learning to control US-1 with his CB skull, US used a remote control device which happened to be a normal silver dollar. Which appeared to be a normal silver dollar. Later, the US-1 was further advanced by the aliens, enabling it to fly through the air or in the vacuum of space, becoming the Star Rig.
What the hell?
Issue 7 was narrated by the truck itself, demonstrating its sentience. Although it was incapable...
Why are we talking about this comic?
Although it was incapable of any independent action, being dependent on US-1 to physically or remotely control it.
Guys, let us know if you want us to do the main segment about the US-1 truck when it became sentient and narrated an entire comic.
Yeah, I can't picture either the car or the person,
Now,
US-1.
What I have to imagine is they're picking team members for their capture the flag, and they're just like,
oh,
and
Ulysses.
Ulysses is just like, standing next to his giant spaceship truck.
By the way, that truck, unsurprisingly with a name like US-1, it's painted red, white, and blue.
I fully believe that it is. That is the most amazing and definitely the worst. Now, we can argue that down the road, if we ever do the who would be the best at a monster truck rally, US-1's gonna win. But, wow. All right, everybody. Well, that was episode 49 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's ARC with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all at Partial Arc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for listening, and remember...
In 1991, there was a Yogi Bear cartoon called Yo Yogi. Yogi ran a detective agency in Jellystone Mall. Presumably the park is no longer there. Supporting cast included Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, and Magilla Gorilla, who was reworked to be a pop star named Magilla Ice.
That's amazing. Because comics.